gonna lie down. I want you to feel the back of your hips, the back of your rib cage, and your shoulders on the mat, your arms down by your side, and then send one leg long and then the other leg long. Take your arms over behind you and reach away. And we're going to start with a lovely, gorgeous stretch. Reach your arms and legs in the opposite direction and take a few lovely breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth while keeping that reach away from from the body, really, and then release. Now I want you to reach the right arm and left leg away. So you're stretching in the opposite direction and release. And left arm, right leg, reach away and release. Bring the arms back over by your side, bend one leg and then the other leg. If your ankles and knees are together, take your feet out at the front so your feet form a V shape. Bring your heels around so that your feet are in a parallel position. And your knees and your feet should be about hip width apart. So keeping your feet lovely and light on the mat, arms lovely and relaxed. I want you to imagine you have a pencil on the end of your nose, and I want you to start drawing a tiny circle on your ceiling with the end of your nose. And I want you, it may work better for you to close your eyes for this, but I want that circle to be as even as you can make it. And so you draw in about the size of the inside of a polar mint, circling around, and then gradually making that circle a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And you're massaging the back of your head on the floor, but your neck feels lovely and long. Your legs feel light, your feet are light on the floor. Your hands are lovely and relaxed, you're not gripping the mat. And you're taking your breath in through the nose and into the rib cage and out through the mouth. And when your circle is about the size of a small side plate, I want you to start taking that circle back in the other direction, starting large. Couple of large circles there to start, and then slowly making that circle a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller until your circle, once again, don't go too fast, but until it is once again the size of that inside circle of a polar mint. When you're back, small circles, really concentrate on that breath. Is it even? Are you able to get that breath into your rib cage? Have you started to clench your toes or your hands? Are they still lovely and relaxed, fully in contact with the mat? And then come to a stop with your nose. Take a lovely breath into the abdominals and send your arms up to the ceiling, palms facing each other. You want to make sure that your wrists and your elbows are directly above your shoulders and that your shoulders are lovely and melting into the mat so they're not lifted. You can feel those arms heavy in the joint there and the shoulders on the mat. Take a lovely breath in and reach up to the ceiling with your right hand. You want to see if you can try and touch the ceiling with your fingertips and bring your shoulder back onto the mat and go again with the opposite arm. So waking up in your shoulders this morning. So reaching, alternating your hands, and with each move, see if you can send that hand and those fingertips a little bit higher and a little bit closer to your ceiling. Working the move on the out breath, drawing the shoulder back to the mat on the out breath, ensuring that both shoulders are grounded in the mat first before you send the other arm to the ceiling. Make sure that those hands are not starting to come into each other. You want to keep those arms shoulder width apart, reaching away, and do another 4, or balance up 3 to stay even on both sides. And then turn your palms to face the front. Breathe in, really knit the rib cage in on the in breath, and on the out breath, reach the arms behind, making sure that your rib cage does not lift, and circle your arms all the way around and bring them back up. Breathe out as those arms come back again. Really, those fingertips, once again, trying to reach all the edges, all the walls of your room. So you're focusing on not just the breath, but the elongation of your arms out of the shoulder joints, as you get some lovely mobility in your shoulders with this move. We're going to do one more. Send the arms right behind on the out breath and around on the in breath. And then the arms come back up once again. And this time we go in the other direction, but we bring the arms down on the in breath. We're reaching away if you can on that same in breath, and bring those arms over on the out breath, and go again. Send the arms all around, bring them over on the out breath. Really making sure you're knitting your rib cage down so there's no flaring in the ribs. And one more in this direction, reaching away and back up to the top and down by your side. So keeping your feet lovely and light on the mat, your arms and hands light on the mat. We're going to take our mind-body connection now to our abdominals and our pelvic positioning here. So I want you to imagine you have a marble halfway between your navel and the top of your pelvis. And I want you to take a lovely breath into the abdominals, in towards that marble. And on the out breath, roll your marble down towards your sternum, so your back imprints on the mat. Breathe in on the out breath, roll your marble to the top of your pelvic bone so that you tilt your pelvis in the other direction. Breath in, roll the marble back down towards your sternum. Now, while you're doing this, I want you to think whether your feet are feeling light on the mat. If you're pressing your feet into the mat, it could be that you're using your legs to move in the abdominals rather than your abdominals themselves. So keep the forward and backward tilt. See with each breath whether you can get a little bit more of a tilt forward or back before we bring that marble back to the center of our clock face. If we want to make sure that marble is balanced, you should find yourself quite even on those sit bones and naturally in a neutral pelvic position. This time we're going to roll the marble over to your left hip. Now you will feel the back of your right hip lift off the floor and you heavier on the on the left, and roll the marble over to the right. So just getting some little bit more mobility here, really down into our hips and our lower back. Keep going left to right. Each time, see if you can bring the left hip heavier onto the mat and respectively the right when you roll the marble each side. And then roll your marble back to the center of the clock face, and just make sure you're in a neutral pelvis. Just check whether your front hip bones are level with your pelvic bone and the back of your hips feel lovely and level on the mat. We're going to bring our arms once more back up to the top, palms facing each other. And I want you to draw a breath in and really draw in and engage your abdominals. And on our next out breath, I want you to reach the right arm and the left leg away. Now I want that left leg to draw along the floor and the right arm reaching behind and back up. So again, we're elongating in the arm, reaching behind and taking the leg out as well. So reaching in the opposite arm and opposite leg. Your hips, I want to make sure your hips are beautifully still because got abdominal engagement. If you feel you're losing your abdominal engagement, when you come back to your starting position, just check that you're in a neutral spine. Draw those abs in on your in-breath and then reach away with the opposite arm and opposite leg on that out-breath. We're going to do 4 more. Keep reaching, keep really drawing away. You should feel a lovely stretch if you need it up the side of your body as that arm reaches away. And 2 more, or balance up there if you've gone a little bit quicker or a little bit slower and you want to make sure you're even on both sides. Really lovely. Bring the arms down once again by your sides. Take a lovely breath in, draw those abs in, and on the out breath, I want you to lift the right leg up into a tabletop position. Check that you've got a neutral spine. Imagine you have a pencil coming off the end of your knee, pointing to your ceiling. Keeping that abdominal engagement, we're going to start making some small circles in with that knee. Keep them small. You can make those circles a little bit wider and a little bit bigger over time, but making sure that you're maintaining your abdominal engagement and your hips are staying beautifully stable. So that circle should never get too big without moving the hips. I want you to imagine the femur or the top of your thigh bone lovely and heavy in your hip joint and circling that thigh bone in your hip. One more circle in this direction. Gorgeous breath in and circle back in the opposite direction. Focus on staying lovely and relaxed through the torso, feeling the back of the rib cage on the mat and making sure you're maintaining abdominal engagement. So those hips stay lovely and steady. Don't make those circles too fast. Just work it with your breath. And 2 more. Come back to a stop and take that foot back to the floor. Make sure your feet feel even. Weight through both feet. Take a lovely breath in once again, and on your out breath, we lift the other leg. Again, making sure your knee is above your hip and that thigh is sitting heavy in your hip joint. Working a small circle this time with this leg. And just like the other side, do start small first, making sure that you're able to maintain a really stable hip as you circle your femur in your hip joint. Couple more circles in this direction and come back around the other way. Another 3 and 2, 1, and take that foot to the floor. Really nice. We're going to go back into our hips and into our pelvis and our hips again now and come into our bridge. So making sure that your feet are once again hip width apart and parallel on the floor, lovely and light. Take a lovely breath in. And if you want to still imagine that marble, I want you to roll that marble down to the sternum so you are in a flat back. We're going to come up bit by bit this morning. So using that breath, drawing the hips in, I want you, the abs in, I want you to just lift your tailbone a little bit off the floor. Just a little bit so the hips come off the mat. Then I want you to lower the hips back onto the mat and come into a neutral spine. Take a breath in. On the out breath, go back into flat back and then lift the tailbone off the mat. But this time, bring the hips a little bit more so you feel the lower back starting to lift off the mat. And then I want you to lower your lower back into the mat. Draw those abs in to get as much movement through the lower back as you can. And once your hips in contact with the mat, come back into neutral spine. Breath in, draw your abs in, flat back. On the out breath, lift the tailbone. The hips come up. The lower back comes up. You come all the way up to your mid back. Make sure you're engaging those glutes as well now to lift you up. Breathe in, and on the out breath, I want you to start lowering back down from the mid back all the way down. Abs really drawn in to try and get that lumbar region coming onto the mat and back into neutral spine. This time, we're going to go all the way up into our full bridge. Make sure when you're in flat back now, you draw the abs in and really engage those buttocks. Start lifting the tailbone off the floor. Start lifting one vertebra up at a time, all the way up into your full bridge. Make sure your arms are lovely and light on the mat. Your shoulder blades are on the mat, and your feet, and you can still feel that big toe in contact with the mat. Breath in there. On the out breath, release between your shoulder blades. Allow the top of your spine to come in contact with the mat and come down one vertebra at a time, really allowing each one to come down and back into neutral spine. We're going to do one more and add on our arms. Come into your neutral spine. Come into your flat back. Draw the abs in and engage your buttocks. Start lifting your tailbone on the out breath and start pushing, using your glutes and abs, your hips up to the ceiling, peeling one vertebra up off the mat at a time. This time, when you're in your full bridge, using those abs and your buttocks to really keep those hips lifted and balanced, I want you to lift both arms up to the ceiling with the palms facing forward. Bring the elbows out to the side so they come down onto the floor. Bring the back of your forearms onto the mat, and then start gliding your arms behind you. Reach, reach, reach away, all the while maintaining this gorgeous lift. Watch your knees don't flare out, so keep them hip width apart. Reaching away. Now, when you reach away, the back of your arms may lift slightly off the floor, and that's okay. Just keep those fingertips reaching far behind you, those glutes and abs engaged to keep your hips lifted. And on your next out breath, with those arms still reaching behind you, I want you to slowly come back down to the mat, landing every single vertebra from the top of your back right down to the bottom, one vertebra at a time. It will feel a little bit different. It may feel a little easier or a little bit more difficult. Work with it, and then once you come down into your neutral spine, bring your arms back over and by your side. Now I want you now to come onto one side, ideally facing the camera, but hopefully if not, don't worry, you can follow the instructions. So facing me, bring your knees out at 90 degrees. I want you to lie on your hands. I don't want you to fully interlace them. Just have those hands each side, and your lower hand is supporting your head. And I want you to bring your elbows together, focusing a little bit on our shoulders and arms this morning. So bring your elbows together like a closed book. I want you to take a breath in, and on your out breath, I want you to start lifting your elbow up towards the ceiling. I want you to maintain eye contact with your elbow. And as it comes up to the ceiling, you're turning your head and you start to rotate in your ribs. Your hips and knees are lovely and stacked and do not move. Now, that may mean it constricts the movement for your elbow as it goes behind you, but that's okay. I want you to go as far as your rib cage and waist, so that lovely rotation in your torso allows, and then you go as far as your arm allows, so you feel a drawing behind through your shoulders as your elbow is behind you, drawing down towards the floor. And see how far you can turn your head to look at your elbow. Take a couple more breaths in there, and then bring that elbow back lovely and slowly, and close your book. Bring your elbows together. Now, your lower half of your body shouldn't have moved, so those hips and knees stay lovely and stacked. We're going to do one more. Take a breath in and engage those abdominals so they keep your hips stable. And on your out breath, lift your elbow up towards the ceiling, eye line following your elbow as it goes over your body. You can start feeling a rotation in your rib cage and movement in your waist as it moves with your elbow, but the hips stay stacked. And when your elbow is behind as far as you can, just check you fully turned your head. Your head's being fully supported in your hands, so it feels lovely and safe. And gravity starts to draw the elbow down towards the floor as you feel a stretch around the underneath of your shoulder. And take a couple of more breaths there. And when you're ready, bring that elbow back over your body and back to restack on top of the underside elbow. Take that top hand and bring your top knee up to your chest. Hold on to your ankle without pulling onto your ankle, but just making sure your hand is guiding and keeping it stable. Draw your knee behind you. Press your hips forward so you can feel a lovely stretch down the front of the thigh on that top leg. If you need to, draw the knee behind you a little bit more and press your hips out a little bit more, and take a few breaths in there, focusing as well at these past couple of sessions on our flexors. Want to hold it for about 5 more seconds. So take that breath in. When you feel the stretch release, see if you can get a little bit more out of that stretch, but never force it. Lovely. And bring that knee back and the leg back to the other leg. Your top hand now, place it just in front of you. Lift your top leg so it's parallel with the bottom. Bring your knee up towards your chest. Send your foot out. We're going to do single leg bicycles. Again, focusing on our hip mobility this morning. So this time, taking this movement in another direction. So send that leg out long, send it behind as far as you can without the hips coming out of alignment and back forward. Another one. So lovely and slowly. If you're all cycling like Bradley Wiggins, I know that you're unlikely working it with your breath. Come back around the other direction. So reverse your bicycle. Slowly and with the breath, really exaggerating, excuse me, that move in your hip. One more time. And restack. We're now just going to come over onto our fronts. Arms out to the side in a letter E shape. Just like that position almost we did when we were lying our back in the bridge. Walk your legs away so you have a gorgeous space between the lowest rib and hip on both sides. And your head is hovering above the floor. I want you to feel the crown of the head reaching away. You have an imaginary marble on the end of your nose, just there. Your nose is on top of a little marble. And I want your hands, folks, to be as light as you can on the floor. Breathe in, draw your abdominals into your spine. And on your out breath, roll your marble away with your nose. So you're feeling the crown of the head reach away from you. And you start to lift in the spine. So you don't move in the neck, you're not moving your head. That head's still reaching away as the crown of the head reaches away. And you're peeling up through the sternum. If you're particularly mobile, you should come up until the bottom rib is on the mat. Glide your shoulder blades down your backs, folks. Take a lovely breath in, and on the out breath, restack along the mat as you bring your sternum back down and your nose touches that imaginary marble once again. I want you to have a think about your hands. Did you press into the mat when you were up the top? If so, try and keep them light. If you came up too quickly and too easily, then work with your own strength. You may want to start with your arms just lifted off the mat. However, my main focus this morning is really making sure that we've regained gorgeous mobility in our upper backs. So starting once again, the bottom half of your body all switched off and your hips pressing into the floor. Your crown of the head's reaching away. You take a lovely breath in, draw those abs into your spine. On the out breath, roll your marble away with your nose. Crown of the head's reaching away. And it reaches so far you can feel your sternum starting to lift off the mat. Draw your shoulder blades down your back as you glide up. And as you come up as far as you can there, trying to maintain bottom rib on the mat, take a breath in and come back down with control. Now let's see if we can get deeper into that back mobility, keeping your arms as wide as they are. Send them a little bit further forward in front of you. Now, this time, I want you to press into the floor with your hands. We're going to come up into a cobra. I want you to breathe in on the out breath, reach your head, crown of the head away. And as you peel up this time, press into the floor and start straightening your elbows. As you straighten your elbows, you will lift a little bit higher off the mat. And this time that lower rib will lift up as well. You may even have those hips slightly lifted off the mat as well. And look forward. So you're really feeling a more of a stretch in the front of the sternum. Taking a breath in there. Slowly start to bend your elbows once again. But working with control. So you're bringing your body back to the mat gradually, bit by bit. Elbows come onto the floor, head comes down to look at the mat in your starting position. Now, if you felt you came up too easily and there was no challenge, you can bring your hands closer into you so your elbows are more bent in the starting position. If that felt a bit of a challenge, you can send your arms further away from you. So you're starting with a less bent elbow. So figure out where you want your hands for you as we go into another one. So crown of the head reaching away, folks. Pressing into the floor with your hands and start lifting your sternum up off the mat, using the hands, and start straightening in the arms. As you press away from the floor, gliding your shoulder blades down your back and getting a lovely, gorgeous shape from the back of the neck down to your spine. Taking a few breaths in there, start bending your elbows and coming back down bit by bit as you come back into the starting position. Bring your hands this time each side of your shoulders, curl your toes under, press up, bring your bottoms to your heels and come into your child's pose and release out through the lower back. You can bring your head onto the floor if you wish and take a few lovely breaths in there. And then come up onto your knees and we're going to come over onto the other side. So whichever side you didn't do last time, we're going to come and lie on our hands, stack our knees, hips and ankles, bringing the knees out at 90 degrees. So bringing the elbows together, drawing the abs in on the in-breath to keep those hips lovely and stable. On the out-breath, I want you to start lifting your top elbow, maintaining eye contact with that elbow. So your head is also turning, your lower arm, keeping your head lovely and stable. As your arm comes over your body, you feel your rib cage turning as well and the movement in your waist. Keep drawing the elbow back towards the floor so you're getting a lovely stretch out through your shoulder. Couple more breaths there and come back over. Bringing the elbows one more time back together. Just getting your breath there, checking you're in a position that's comfortable for you and your head is comfortable. Breathe in, draw the abs in. On the out breath, you start lifting that top elbow and opening your book once again. Keep your eye line, tracking your top elbow. And once your elbow goes over your body, you'll feel your torso want to come with you. So make sure that twist is in your waist. You can feel the whole rib cage coming with you. And draw that elbow back. We're going to stay for a couple of breaths here this time, really feeling that elbow wanting to draw to the floor with gravity for a deeper stretch in the top of our, and you feel it maybe in your upper back, around your back of the rib cage, and maybe in your shoulder as well. So wherever you feel tight, you'll definitely feel that. So breathe into those areas that may feel a bit tight or tense for you. And then come back and close your book. Once your elbows are together and you're back in your starting position, take that top hand down towards your ankle, bring your knee to your chest so you can take hold of the ankle and start drawing the knee behind you. Keep drawing that knee behind you. Don't pull on the ankle, just hold that ankle to stabilize the leg and feel a stretch again, this time down the front of the other leg. If you're not quite feeling that, either draw that knee further behind and or press your hips out forward, really push them out, and you should get a stretch there. And just take a few lovely breaths in there. And come back and restack. Pop that front hand in front, top hand in front for stability. Lift that top leg, bring the knee to your chest. Let's go into our sideline single bicycles. Really lovely big. It's as if your bike has the world's biggest wheels, the biggest pedals there. Really engaging right up. Feel that movement right into the hip joint. And we just do two more in this direction. And then we go back round in the other direction. So send that leg out long first. Bring the knee up with the knee bent. Send it behind us and back around. So few reverse pedals of bicycles here. And another two. And one. Really nice. Restart. Push up to sit in. And if you have one, take hold of a long band. We are going to pop the band around. Actually, before we do that and while we're sitting, just send your legs long. Let's just go into some side bends. Nice soft V, abs drawn in. Let's just reach over each side, conscious of time. And I want to make sure we have done some movements, as you know, I like to do, of the spine in all directions. So keep those sit bones lovely and even. When that one arm goes over, you will feel the respective buttock lift just slightly, but not too much. Lovely, really nice. And then we'll take our band and pop it around our feet, because I do also want us to go into our hamstrings. So before we go down into the hammies, send your legs long, take the band in one hand, sit lovely and up out of the waist, draw the abs in, and I want us to come over our imaginary beach ball that's on our lap into our spine stretch, using the band to draw down. We will feel it in our hamstrings here, and we should feel it in our lower backs. Drawing forward, taking a few breaths in there, and walking back up the band. bend your legs, holding a band in each hand, draw the abs into the spine and come onto your tailbone. Draw your elbows, your shoulders towards the top of your thighs, create a C shape, and using the band, come down one vertebra at a time. When you're all the way down and the back of the head is on the mat, take your left leg out, lift your right leg up, really flexing on that foot. Take the band also in the right leg and that left arm out to the side and start drawing that leg towards you for a stretch down the back of your right leg. Really make sure you've got a deep flexion on the right foot so that toe almost looks as if it's going on the floor over the head behind you. Few more breaths in there. Feel a lovely stretch all the way down the back of your thighs. And release. Bend the knee in towards you. Pop the left leg in and send the right leg down. Really deep flex on that left leg. Band in the left hand. Keeping that leg incredibly straight. Draw it towards your body and breathe. And when you feel the stretch release off, just draw the band a little bit closer. Never force that stretch, but just breathe into it and get as much out of that stretch as you can and need this morning. Taking the breath in through the nose and into that area that needs that lovely fresh breath. Couple more seconds. And release. Bend both knees, pop both feet into your bands and rock up to sitting. Pop the bands to your sides and bring the soles of your feet together and bring your head towards your feet, keeping the knees out to the side, forearms on your shins, and taking a few breaths here in our butterfly position. Draw the abs in and come up to sitting. Pop your hands each side, draw the shoulder blades together, keep the shoulders away from your ears. And let's take our right ear to our right shoulder. If you need a deeper stretch, walk this left hand away from you a little and feel a deeper stretch down the left side. Taking a couple of more breaths in there, turn your head to look at your right shoulder. Now release the left hand a little, bring your right hand up and over onto the other side of your head. And I want you being very, very careful with your neck. Using your hand to encourage your head to rotate a little bit more. So you're almost like looking underneath your armpit. So it's a very delicate stretch. So be really gentle. But you should go into a few areas of your neck that you can never normally get into. Release the pressure off your head first and look to the front and bring your head up. Breathe in on the out breath. Take very slowly and gently the left ear to the left shoulder. Walk a little bit if you want a deeper stretch, the right arm and hand away from you. And carry on taking some breaths in there. And then turn your head to look at your left shoulder. And again, release the right arm, but lift the left arm up. Pop it over to the right side of your head and rotate. Use it to turn the head to help you to look underneath your arm or up into the armpit. Go really slowly. And with each breath, maybe a little tiny, like millimeters more. Holding it there and breathing into that stretch. I'd like you to release the pressure off your head first. Turn your head to the front and bring your head back up. Turn your head over to the left shoulder and back around over the right. One more time, turn the head, look over the right shoulder, or the left, sorry, and then over the right, and then back to the front. Send your legs long. Pop the right leg over the left. Draw the left knee in towards the right knee in towards the left shoulder. And your right hand, take it behind as far as it's comfortable for you. Breathe in, come up out of the waist, rotating the rib cage, and look over your right shoulder. Now keep drawing your right leg to the left shoulder so you're getting a lovely stretch deep into your left buttock there, probably into your piriformis, and keep that view over your right shoulder. Now, staying in this position, the only thing I want you to move is your neck and head. I want you to turn your head to look over your left shoulder and then back over your right, maintaining the drawing of that knee towards the left shoulder. Release the stretch off and back to the start. Bend the left leg, pop it over the right. First off, let's take that knee and you pulling on the outside of the knee, draw it to the left shoulder. So allow that to settle first and make sure you've got that lovely stretch going in through your left glute. Then take the left hand, position it around behind you as far as is comfortable. Come up out of the waist. Breathe in on the out breath. Rotate in the waist. So you're starting to look over your left shoulder. When you've rotated as much as you can, turn your head to look a little bit more over that shoulder. Make sure you're maintaining the left knee drawing towards the right shoulder for that glute or stretch in the buttock. Now, while staying in this position, turn your head, look over the right shoulder, lovely and gently, and back over the left. Couple more breaths, see if you can get a little bit more stretch with your knee to the opposite shoulder. And release and come back to the front. So bring in those soles of the feet together one more time. You may feel more comfortable crossing your legs, by the way. Interlace the hands and reach up. And I want you to polish the underside of your halos, really reaching the palms of the hands to the ceiling. Lovely circles as you release out in your shoulders and back around in the other direction. Bring the arms by your side, turn the palms to the ceiling. Take a big breath in and reach up as that breath comes into the deep abdominals. Breathe out through the mouth, really releasing through those abs as you bring the hands down. And go again. Take a gorgeous big breath in as you reach up. And breathe out as you come back down. Let's go one more time. Take a gorgeous breath in through the nose, deep, deep, deep into those abs. Reach those arms, palms together. Take a big breath out as you bring those hands down. Pop your thumbs onto your sternum. Make sure you're sitting beautifully upright, your shoulders away from your ears, drawing the shoulder blades together and the abs drawn in. You're even on your buttocks, breathing into the rib cage and out through the mouth. Keep that breath, breathe into the rib cage and out through the mouth. Now find your own natural breath as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Feel the crown of the head reaching away from the ceiling, feeling lovely and long in the neck. Couple more breaths there and you're done. Thank you so much, everyone.